Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer, and today I have the pleasure of Mr. Elmer Yuen. You all know Elmer. He has been with us several times, and he's going to talk about an incident that only appeared briefly as a news item, perhaps in United Kingdom and the United States, but not much else elsewhere. And we're going to talk about what exactly did the United States nuclear submarine USS USS Connecticut hit, and what could be the kind of surprises that the US and the Western countries might face when they are navigating the South China, East China Seas. A lot of things are happening here, and Elmer has the inside story. He'll give us a ringside story about that. And Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend.
On the 7th, fine, very busy. I have two events. We'll talk about it at the end of the program coming up this weekend. So with Mike Pompeo talking speech. But anyway, we'll talk about this at the end, and I appreciate your support. So I'd like to, this is a very important event, even though it's very lightly reported. On the 7th October, US have announced that there was an accident on October 2nd in the South China Sea of the US nuclear submarine. It's the name of the submarine is called Connecticut. It is a Navy attack submarine. It's called the Sea Wolf class, right? And was built in the 90s, probably start building in the 80s last century and finished in the 90s. Very expensive, cost at that time $3 billion. And at that time you can build a nuclear aircraft carrier for that price. So it's very, and the purpose of that submarine is going after the Soviet. On the Soviet, those who are able to launch nuclear missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles. And this submarine, they built 3 of them, was really to hunt down those other Soviet submarines that are capable of launching intercontinental ballistic missiles. So anyway, these are very, very good machines. And the location where it had the accident, we believe, it's roughly about less than 20 kilometer or knots from Hainan Island. Remember Hainan Island, all right? And that's where we believe the accident happened on the 2nd of October. By the time there was an accident, and the official announcement said 15 persons or Navy servicemen were injured. Out of 15, 2 were medium injured, and the others are lightly injured. But it's a very serious accident, seldom reported. It's a very serious matter because right now, as we know, the tension in South China Sea. This would be, I say, a part of the South China Sea. The nuclear submarine, the USS Connecticut, is actually watching the gate of the Chinese nuclear submarine base in Hainan Island. Correct? It does. American or the whole world, they don't want the Chinese nuclear submarine to come out to the open Pacific Ocean or the deeper part, so that they can launch or they can threaten any US city with their nuclear missiles. So this ship, the Connecticut, was really make sure they don't get out. All right, they don't get out of the first link. The first link, of course, goes all the way from Japan, Taiwan, and all the way down to Vietnam and so on. So they don't want them to come out. US don't want them to come out to the Pacific. So it's watching. And what happened was there was and they announced, so it's not a secret anymore. They announced there was an accident. It was some kind of collision happened on the 2nd of October. And during that period, China sent a lot of flights, airplanes, and everybody said they're threatening Taiwan, so on and so forth, and they keep on sending in one of those from 30 something to 30 more, and then eventually, around the time of the announcement, they sent 50 planes per day up to that area. And our most speculation in the press is they are threatening Taiwan, or just to show a force. But that's not what really happened. What really happened, in order for the Connecticut 15 people to get injured, it must have hit something. All right, it must have hit something, or something has hit the Connecticut. Let's put it that way. The impact is fairly large to injure 15 people. That was, in fact, that was shallow water. It was not very deep. It's about maybe 150, maybe 200 meters deep. It's not very deep. That area outside Hainan Island, and the stretch is about almost for 20 kilometers into the ocean. It's very shallow water, and then it gets deeper. All right. So that Connecticut was in shallow water. And obviously, Chinese knew it because it's very close to their back door. Chinese knew it. And an active object, all right? Active object means the object can be driven and collided with the Connecticut. If it's a passive object, you don't get that kind of injury. Right? The collision will be minor, and they get it all the time. Maybe somebody says a container drop off from a container ship, and if that kind of impact would not hurt 15 soldiers, so it has to be active. So we all knew that China have a lot of things already installed or hidden under the water in South China Sea. And Hainan Island is the most important place because that is their nuclear submarine base. Everybody knew it, it's not a secret. So anyway, the accident happened, and we truly believe it's collided. The collision was from either a drawn submarine, meaning a submarine with no underwater thing without people in it, and was hit it with an impact, quite a heavy impact. I mean, this is a very, very expensive submarine. It was built in the 90s just to fight with the Soviet submarines. All right, and $3 billion is probably at that time the most expensive nuclear submarine built, and a very huge submarine, very strong, extremely strong, because it was meant to fight with the Soviet submarines. It's not something to launch satellites. They're different. As a launch missiles, it's all different. So, but this is a fighter. That's why they call it attack submarine. So anyway, for 15 people to be injured, it is an active object, hit an active object, or the other way around. The active object hits it. We know underwater in South China, entire South China Sea, especially near the Chinese shore, they have all kinds of sensors, sonars, all kinds of manless, no-man submarines, and so on. And once in my program, I don't know whether you remember, Sree, I was talking about them putting miniaturized nuclear bombs under the water.
Yes, you did. You did. In fact, we were one of the first ones to mention that. Yeah.
Right. Nobody talk about it because I know the political commissar political commissar of the new Chinese nuclear submarine force, who retired, and I got him to talk to me. Right? So retired a long time, quite some time ago, and he's dead now, so I don't have a problem talking about him. So anyway, not only new military use, they have all kinds of hardware and software under the water. And drone submarine is nothing. It's easy. Everybody has it now. All the advanced countries, Soviet, US, Russia, US, and England, and so on. It's natural, right? You don't want people to keep them underwater. You want to keep the submarine underwater so long. Better have no person there because they breathe oxygen. You have to feed them, to go to the toilet, all kinds of, and they make all kinds of noise. So anyway, it was a deliberate effort from the Chinese. This is my story, okay, to hit the U.S. Nuclear submarine. It's very serious. And then the Chinese didn't know how serious the damage is. All right, so they didn't know they were hit, and was a hit collision. Didn't know how until the U.S. announced on the 7th. The Chinese knew there was a collision, but they didn't realize it was a damage and with so many injuries. So when the U.S. announced it, Chinese said, "Great, this is the best opportunity. We need to capture that nuclear submarine." I don't know whether you remember 20 years ago, there was a US plane, all right? It's I think a P-30 something. It's really an information collection plane. It's not a fighter plane. Was flying along the Chinese coast, not in the Chinese airspace, but in the public space. So he was flying along and collecting information. Right? There are all kinds of gears, detecting gears, all right? They can actually, that plane can listen to every mobile phone conversation in China. It records and listens, all right? So let's call it a spy plane. It's really a spy, but very well equipped with the whole team, almost like close to 20 people working on it, right, of course. And I don't know whether you remember, and the Chinese plane flew up, all right, and collide from underneath, collide with that spy plane. And that Chinese plane, they reported, dropped, and the pilot died. The guy's family name is Wong, very famous, all right, and died. It became a hero, whatever. It's well reported. You can look at that. So, but the American plane was slightly damaged, and American value life, and there is more than anything else. So they, under the Chinese request, that plane landed in Hainan Island, all right, forced to land at Hainan Island. What happened after that? The China, of course, called U.S. Killing China, of course, U.S. deliberately hit the Chinese plane. Actually, the Chinese plane came from below and hit the U.S. plane at the bottom. All right, and then that plane was lost. All right, so-called lost. So the American plane. Sorry, Sree, you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to finish that
Sree,
story.
You want to say something?
If I didn't, yes. I just want to finish that story that you were saying. So, if I remember correctly, the United States pilot ejected, and they got hold of the plane, or either that, or they traded the pilot for the plane because they said they wanted to reverse engineer the plane, the United States plane, and so something like that happened. I mean, eventually there were no deaths
No.
on the
Let me
US
give you
side.
the details.
Yes.
I need to get to the details. It's very important because
No,
the
please
two
go ahead.
incidents are identical.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened? That plane falls down in Hainan Island. Of course, people were safe, so they were given to a nice hotel and very well. I mean, the crew in the American plane was very well looked after. And then the Chinese stripped the whole plane down to each parts. Totally stripped the whole plane, got all the information. The worst thing happened is that plane knows how to collect information. The sensor is so good. It can record or detect every mobile conversation in China, in the whole China. That's why it's flying so close, because it gets the signals, a strong signal. The whole plane was totally disassembled, and all the technology, whatever they can take, they took it. And the Americans said, we need the plane back, all right? And Chinese, and this was under Jiang Zemin, all right, the president at that time, 2001. Right? And he said, no, yeah, you can have it back. We'll give it back to you. But you are no longer, we would not allow you to fly in Chinese airspace. You have to come with a ship to take the parts. It's no longer a plane. It's all in parts. Take the parts back. So you don't have to reassemble, because reassemble the plane also requires a lot of technology. So once they have taken it apart, they are not able to put it back together. So finally, American took a humble pie and sent a ship and shipped back the parts. And then China also let go of the people. All right. And because it was hit like this, the plane was hit like this, military, you cannot call it an attack. You can only call it some kind of, prima facie, it's a collision. It's an accident. You understand? It's an accident. This kind of behavior is very, very common under Soviet US days, both in the air and on the water. Under the water. Remember, we're talking about under the water. This is very, very common. They have a term for it, something called Ivan or something. There's a Russian name for this kind of behavior. I'm the big guy. I bump into you. You understand the kind? This is the Russian polar bear behavior. I bump into you. Now, what do you do? It's like street fight. Now, what do you do? The same thing happened with the nuclear submarine. All right. But Chinese couldn't believe it was such a big ship and strong ship, American ship. They didn't know whether it was damaged until the 7th of December when US announced. Those Chinese suddenly woke up. Wow, 15 people injured. So there must be some damage to the submarine. So they send out all kinds of planes, more than 50 planes per day, meaning this all the best planes they have, searching for that area. They want to hunt down the Connecticut. Remember the story, the hunt for Red October? They want to hunt down the October Connecticut. If they can, listen to me, if they can capture this submarine, the war is over. Everything is over, because US will negotiate. Same thing with the plane. US will negotiate. And the whole war, we're in the middle of a war. There's no question. We're in the middle of a war, will be over, because US will withdraw. This is the way they are. It happens time after time. So this, in the last couple of weeks, it was actually very serious thing happened. Never in history China have sent out so many planes, more and more every day, because they were trying to hunt down that nuclear submarine. If they are able to capture within that close to China water, all right, or everything. But fortunately, the US and the other country are doing a naval exercise nearby in South China Sea, almost at the same time. So that once US announced on the 7th of this, what happened means they were already in water. They are no longer exposed to Chinese hunt down. So this is my interpretation. Call it whatever, conspiracy theory, whatever you want. That's okay. I don't have a problem. I don't need to win a Pulitzer Prize. But anyway, this is my version of the story. It's very important. This is their tactic. They are never going to occupy Taiwan. They are far behind. They are at least 10, 20 years behind militarily to occupy Taiwan. But they have unrestricted warfare. This is called this is close to warfare, but very clever way of doing things. And China is not going to occupy Taiwan shortly, but they want to capture 2 islands. Taiwan has 2 islands very close to mainland. I don't only know to speak, they call it the Chinese name. One is Jingmen, and the other one, there are 2 islands, at the Chinese shore. And then there's also a Spratly Island, all right, south of Taiwan.
Those are artificial, right?
And you can correct me by my details. I'm not good in details. But they are aiming at capturing this. And this is their objective. Their objective is not to occupy Thailand mainland. They are militarily, it's not possible. So anyway, that's my story for the time being. Please, Sree, sorry it's so long.
Yeah, a couple of things, Elmer. One is that Spratly Islands, I think, is disputed islands, and I think the Chinese have actually built a station there. And during Obama's period, in the name of reconnaissance, Obama flew some B-52 bombers, except the bombers didn't have any bombs on them. So it was just like a joke. People used to say, this guy is not even rattling a saber because the cover, rattling a saber is you have a sheath and you just take it and then you take it out of the sheath and you just keep rattling the knife. And because it's a long one, it bends in air and creates sound. That kind of stuff. And even that they were disputing. What a joke this is when you have B-52s fly over without any bombs. That's what Obama did. So, Alva, the question now is, first question is, did that USS Connecticut escape from the clutches of the Chinese?
Yes, it did. I think when US announced it on the 7th, that means they've entered safe water. All right. So it's safe, and really it's a bloody nose. US got a bloody nose, and this ship has to go back for repair, and going back to Guam or going back to Hawaii for repair. It's a very humiliating issue, and of course US is going to have proof and that, but doesn't mean anything. They lost. All right, they've lost in a battle, underwater battle, and normally this kind of incidents are seldom reported. Remember, you saw the movie Top Gun? It was real, but very seldom reported. And such kind of thing happened underwater during the Cold War, and in the sky, and on the water all the time. And sometimes both countries prefer not to talk about it.
Absolutely. And Elmer, you have a couple of very great events coming up this weekend. And you introduced us to the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, and I'm very sad that I'm not going to be there for the event. I wish you all the best, Elmer, and perhaps you can touch upon it. We have a picture of the Pleasanton area, the vineyard, Uncle Yu's vineyard, and that's one place where Mike Pompeo is sitting down for dinner. You can talk about the two events now, and then we'll also play out a quick, short video of this place.
Yes. The most important thing is the afternoon speech at Calvary Church in San Jose. Both Mike Pompeo and his chief strategist, Miles Yu. Miles Yu was Chinese origin, and they are going to talk about what's going to happen, because it's very serious. As we all know, Biden administration is going very soft. And even though Blinken in the beginning was going tough on China, but he's also softening, all right? And their idea is to treat everybody as equal, all right? Globalization, treat people as you, like such as Taliban and the Chinese communists, they like to treat them as equals. And I hope that works. But anyway, Mr. Pompeo and Mao Xu, they have their strategy. And we hope the Republican will win both the midterm and the presidential. So Mike Pompeo will be able to use his policy. And this is his policy we're talking about, is going from what's happening now, the court power and so on. This is all designed by Mike Pompeo, all right? And I believe he wants to take it to a higher level when he is involved. He probably may run, and we don't really care as long as U.S. adopts his policy, and that's good enough for us. And we have common enemy. I'm from Hong Kong, as you all know. I mean, my enemy is the Chinese Communist Party, and and you have the same. We are not enemies, all right? The Chinese people are victims. They are victims by the CCP. All right, so
Yes.
don't call us enemy. We're definitely not enemy. We are allies. Seriously, that's not what we are. And if we don't remove the Chinese Communist Party, they are threatening us. Unfortunately, Sree, you live in States. This government in the last 20 or 30 years given China so much money, all right, over almost like $25 trillion in trading. China export a lot, and then in IPOs, and then give them all kind of loans, US dollar loans, retirement loans, like from California. Your retirement fund all went to China, all right, all loaned to China. They had all that money to really do this one belt, one road, all that, all infiltration and then bribery. They bought everybody up. Hopefully India less, because you're not that much involved. But the rest of the world, I mean, it's totally controlled by them with that money, and they're continuing making that money. And Biden called them a strategic competitor. I don't even know what that means. All right, you keep competing with them. They make more money. If they make more money, and they stab you in the back when you are running in the front, they stab you in the back. What kind of competitor is that? No, I mean, these guys in Washington are great in inventing terms. Strategic competitor. What a thing to say. But anyway, I talk too much. I hope whoever can come to the 17th afternoon event, 3 o'clock at Calvary Church, we are welcome. It's hosted by my organization. Before I was alone, I set up a foundation called Hong Kong Freedom Beacon, and then we are hosting it. And then both Secretary Pompeo and Mao Xu are going to talk. And of course, we concern, because your future, my future, has a lot to do with Secretary Pompeo, because he has the right attitude against this Chinese Communist Party. Thank you, Sree.
Absolutely. And before we wind up the show, I have one small observation. With your permission, we'll just play a quick video of how the event, the vineyard, looks. So we'll take a quick look at that, and then I have one final question before we wind up. That's a great looking place, and Pleasanton is full of vineyards. Those of you who live in the Bay Area, it's beautiful. I wish you all the best. So finally, again, talks of a coup are surfacing from China. What's your meter? What is your coup meter saying? Is it near 100 or near 10?
It's not a conventional coup, all right? When you deal with the Chinese, you have to understand, they would never attack you use conventional methods. Remember the war with India in the 60s?
Yes.
It's they use all kind of stealth. So even Xi Jinping's enemy or rivals or whatever enemies inside China are not going to use a conventional coup. Xi Jinping only have maybe 60-70% control of the military, or maybe 60-70% control of the police. Many areas like economic, energy, trading, and so on, he has no control. Those people are tricking him into this environmental committing to environmental, the Paris Accord. They are encouraging to that. So he's stuck with this emission standard. So he closed many coal mines, because China mostly was coal. He closed many coal mines, and he was hoping the Russian would come up with natural gas. There was 2 huge pipes built from the north to the Amur River. So he was hoping that. But then the Russians failed to deliver, because they are having so much trouble with this Siberian pipelines. So much trouble, it's not really working at all. They have cost overrun, technology problem, all kinds of problems. Short. So in the meantime, the coal mine was shut down, all right? And then his enemy are encouraging the power shutdown. All right. Once the coal become too expensive, the power company refused to generate. And this is not controlled by Xi Jinping. The coal mine and the power generator, these are other families. Remember, I was talking to you about families, and all these families are rivalry to him. Right. So they deliberately cut down power supply. So believe it or not, half of China right now, because it's entering winter, without electricity, these multi-story buildings are like cemeteries, because no water, no electricity, no elevator, no gas, nothing. So people, what to do? His rivalries are forcing this on him, all right, so that people will have unrest. And there will be a very important meeting in November this year, and another very important meeting end of next year, about him being able to continue to be the president or whatever, party secretary. So they are trying to create dissatisfaction with the people. All right, property price drop almost 30%. I think it would drop another. It would be half. All right, by the end of the year, it will be half. So people are very angry. Chinese people, most of their personal asset, 70% of their personal asset is in the apartment they live or in the home they live.
Right.
All right. Now suddenly price drop half. You understand the feeling. This is desperate. So people will be so angry. So people will be angry with the property price drop because their property, personal asset drop by 50%. All right. High inflation, as you know, we already feel inflation outside China. The Chinese inflation is even more serious internally. All right. Power stoppage. All right. And then stock market going down, debt market going down, and unemployment, huge unemployment. So all these are cool, but I call it unconventional cool. That's my story.
Wonderful. Elmer, would you like to take a few questions now?
Oh, anytime, please.
All right. So viewers, you can send in your questions. The first question is from Sanit Kulhatkar. The Hong Kong flag / emblem has changed now. What is the significance of that? Is it trying to forcibly integrate Hong Kong into mainland China, trying to deny the people their right to have their own flag? What is going on there, sir?
First of all, when they negotiated with the Britain about taking back Hong Kong, they want to show the Hong Kong people that the sovereignty belongs to China, but the actual administration, legislation, and judiciary would belong to Hong Kong. So to show they were sincere,
one country, two systems.
they allow to show they were sincere about this one country, two system. They allow Hong Kong to have its own flag, and of course, Hong Kong also have to show that they are friendly to mainland China. So it's in red. It's a red orchid. Red orchid is the national flower of city flower of Hong Kong. So because I think the British like to use it. So that's why they designed this orchid in white and the black background in red. And of course, the first day in 1997 when Hong Kong was taken over, they were flying both flags, both the Chinese national flag and this one in Hong Kong. And gradually, the Chinese, the 5-star flag were going higher and ours going lower. Now you hardly see it. This is typical communist. Let me tell you, yes. I'm serious. I really need to tell my Indian friends. You are all my good Indian friends. Do not negotiate with Chinese. It's a waste of time. Whatever they sign means nothing. I heard they said spend 8 hours negotiating, right? Between India and China. Don't waste time. Anything they sign don't mean nothing. They're like the British Sino joint declaration. Suddenly, about 5 years ago, the Chinese, I'm talking about the the Chinese ambassador to London, all right, said, oh, this is a historical paper. We don't, that means it has no meaning. That paper, the joint declaration, is filed at United Nations. It was signed by the 2 head of states, all right, in the 1980s. And they say it's a piece of it's a historical document, meaning it's no longer effective. And I'm the one who is encouraging the Hong Kong people in UK to go to both UK High Court and the International Court of Justice to go say that the Chinese have grossly breached the Joint Declaration. The sovereignty of Hong Kong no longer belong to China. It should belong to the people of Hong Kong based on 1997. Now of course, they've infiltrated with lots of mainland Chinese. So the people of Hong Kong at 1997 should decide their own fate with the referendum. That's what I'm trying to. This is one of my missions.
Absolutely. And viewers, you are really looking at a freedom fighter who's fighting for the freedom of Hong Kong. And who knows, Elmer could become the premier of Hong Kong should Hong Kong be free. And, we'll look forward to, if it comes true, you heard it first here. So all the best, Elmer. You're working very, very hard.
Sree, just one sentence. I'm 72 years old, all right? But I'm very experienced with Communist China. My mission is to take down the Chinese Communist Party and let the young people decide whatever they want. Anything is better than communism. So that's my statement.
Right.
I saw some question about will China change and will they take down Xi Jinping? Will Xi Jinping step down? Let me tell you, I don't know. I don't know, because he has certain power, and his rivalries or his enemies inside China have also huge power. It's a very bloody war going on that we know not much because they control the press. All right, it's very bloody. It's not like India when you change power to somebody else, you don't die. But in China, your whole gang, whoever your family, all your friends, whoever following you, will end up in prison or dead. So this is called communism. They don't have a legal transfer of power. So as a result, they fear that if you have the power, you're going to kill me, and if I have the power, I may kill you. This is how bad it is. The power struggle is on the minute-to-minute basis. All right, in your country, you have an election every few years, right? So you fight it once, but they fight it every minute. So everything in China, you have to understand, you have to interpret as a power struggle. In our world, we talk about money, right? Everything, you follow the money. In China, you follow the power. That's how you analyze China. And everything you see today from China, you first have to read it from a power struggle point of view. Then the power struggle, the power stoppage. It's not an energy problem. It's a political problem. Please. So this is why I hope one time you introduce me to some of your news media. They read only whatever power stoppage, economic slowdown, the bubble is bursting. Those are important to the people, but Xi Jinping don't care about the people. The people, it means nothing. He cares about his power. He wants to maintain power. That's the only thing that counts. So, but on the other hand, I want to answer the question. I'm sorry, it's a long question, long answer. We love to see Xi Jinping continue. All right, at least for a while, because he is bringing down China, and he is bringing down the Chinese economy, and he's bringing down the Chinese Communist Party. We like to see him stay in power as long as possible, because then it will implode. China will implode, like the Soviet Union. I mean, US did not force them to break up, the Soviet breakup. It's an internal breakup. And Xi Jinping is helping to accelerate that. So we like to see him there. I don't want him to go. I hate to see somebody come up and come to US, say, oh, we're so sorry for what happened, and put the blame on Xi Jinping. And then let's start a new phase. That would be another communism going on and on. We like to see Xi Jinping because he is leading the Chinese Communist Party to destruction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elmer. And this is the last question. Chaitanya YSK wants to know, Elmer sir, do you think Xi Jinping is the modern day Cao Cao, CAO? but will fail. He was a Chinese king, but will fail just like him in uniting perceived Chinese territories like Hong Kong and Taiwan. Cao Cao, CAO. Cao Cao, maybe?
I don't know anything about Cao Cao. First time I heard about this word. You mean
I see.
emperor?
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't know that word. Do you know that word?
No, I have no
I've never
idea.
seen
No
that word.
idea.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
I
Chaitanya.
don't know what that means.
We'll try to cover this the
But
next time. Yeah.
let me. Okay. So, but anyway, I want to tell you, Xi Jinping believes that he has the mandate to be like the emperor, like an emperor, because Chairman Mao, with his long march, ended up in the northern part of China, where his father and
Mm.
had a military, and they took care of Mao. And as you know, in communism, they don't know how to thank people for people helping them. So basically, Mao later on get rid of all his father and their gang. All right? It's a gang, it's a bunch of it's a different gang of gangsters. So anyway, got rid of him. But he believes that he helped this Mao's group to take over China. He is entitled to be the to control China. He is supposed to be the man, all right, and because they owe it to them. So this is their belief. Right now, he believes that those people who fought and took over China, those people should continue to rule, and their children should continue to rule. And he is the children, right? And he wants to rule. And I was in there is a 110-year anniversary of the founding of the Chinese Revolution. We had a very good revolution. Remember, we overthrow the dynasty, the Qing dynasty, and the emperor. I was at the 2 days ago. I was the anniversary in Chinatown in San Francisco, and unfortunately, history repeats itself. Now we are going back to overthrowing the dynasty again. It's the Xi Jinping dynasty. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody tried to explain who Cao Cao was. He was supposed to be, just read it there. It's right there.
If I need to see the Chinese to understand.
Okay.
Mandi. Sorry, it's. I'm sure it's for. Oh, Mandi. Sorry, I need to look up.
No worries, no
I'm not
worries.
a
Yeah,
very
we will touch upon it
literary
next time if
person.
we get a chance. Yeah. Well, that was a
Thank you.
wonderful, fascinating conversation, and you shine the spotlight on things that many people are just beginning to waken up to, because your way of connecting two similar events 20 years apart is truly an eye opener. Elmer, it's always a pleasure listening to you. This is something the audience in India is lapping it up. If you can look at some of the comments that I can tell you, it'll be there when you go to the link, and I'll send you the link right after the show. And it's truly, truly wonderful. One last question before we go. Shankar Kumar Chatterjee wants to
Thank you.
know, do you see Xi Jinping engaging in a kinetic war with the US or India in the foreseeable future?
Please understand, the communists don't fight conventional war. I'm repeating, all right? So they want to take over some kind of fringe island fringe meaning island outside Taiwan, all right? Because by doing that, Xi Jinping will show the people of China he has the guts to challenge the US, the almighty US, like what Mao Zedong did in Korea. I think your Indian audience must be very familiar because you were part of that war, that Korean War. So at that time, during the Korean War, China was the poorest country in the world, and US is the richest country in the world with the best armament. And China was able, of course, millions of Chinese died, all right? And China was able to claim they were able to stop US at the 38th parallel, meaning they were even, all right? And this is what Xi Jinping wants to do. He wants to take over a few islands, the Spratly Islands, so on and so forth, just to show that he has the guts to fight the US. As a result, people in China will let him continue to be the head of state. So this is the whole purpose. He wants to continue. Doesn't matter, Taiwan, they can get it later. And if they negotiate with the US will retreat to the date line. You are going to lose support. Japan, Australia, India, all these countries will lose support. And US will leave China alone and let them dominate the western part of the Pacific, all the way to the Indian Ocean. This is what they want to do. They want to be equal with US and later on, of course, swallow US. That's what they want to do.
Of course. They're already doing that, Elmer. I mean, I don't know how much you know about this. If you look in the Bay Area, much of the commercial real estate is now owned by mainland Chinese. Truly. I mean, if I want to rent something, office space, there'll be somebody sitting who will speak a little bit okay English. And then the guy will say at the end, I have to get back to you. I say, aren't you the owner? No, I don't own it. Somebody in China does. So I have to speak to this person, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow. And this is something that I have heard so many times. I'm not at all surprised. But this is going to stop, I'm sure. And Biden administration may act again. I don't know. They are up and down, very unpredictable. So I don't know.
Sree, I'm not so optimistic about California. All right. I deal with the high-level China in Beijing. They believe California belongs to them already. Politically, everything, economically. That's what they believe. And we don't want to believe. We, meaning California, and we free people, we do not want to believe because it's so sad. And in fact, they believe. I mean, there are so many examples. I've been here for 2 months. I know how bad it is. And it's basically a Chinese colony.
I live there, sir. I have a property there.
Sorry to be so pessimistic, but this is what, in the last 2 months, I spent 18 hours a day talking to all kinds of people. It's a lost. I don't even know how to win again. It's a lost cause. Sorry about it.
Well, with those dire words, we will call it a wrap today, and we'll be back again 2 weeks from now, 2 Tuesdays from now. Elmer will regale us with the stories of what happened at the Mike Pompeo events, and I wish you all the best, Elmer. I wish I was there, and thank you very much again, and namaskar.
One last word. People say, why am I smiling with such grave news? It's called, I don't know whether you have such a word in India. It's called a bitter smile. You understand? It's bitter.
Yes.
Meaning you have no choice. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Namaskar.